What's up, Mr. Sam Kales?
Craig, my brother from another mother. How's it going, buddy?
Man, this is a big night, my friend. Big night.
It is. Hot on the
Yeah.
heels of our first guest last week, Melissa Kim. She was just totally amazing. We've got a biggie tonight, Greg. Tell them who it is.
Oh, it's Locker, man. I mean, look, as a longtime Caps fan, I was a season ticket holder for many, many years, and it is Craig Laughlin, the broadcaster for the Washington Caps. I mean, he's a Washington stable, and I'm super, super excited for this, man. Got a lot of questions in a very short amount of time, man, but man, I'm looking forward to this.
I'm with you. I mean, in the time that we've been following, in our adult lifetime, Joe Beninati, Craig Laughlin have been the guys calling Caps games for us, and to get to interview Mr. Craig Laughlin, that's going to be amazing. It just 25 years for those guys. Just celebrate that a couple of weeks back here.
Yeah, man. I mean, 25 years, dude. I mean, he's an icon in DC, and very knowledgeable. And just a great guy. I mean, it's the kind of guy that you just want to go to the beer, go to the bar and just mess around. I mean, just a great dude. I mean, he's always been a great ambassador for Washington DC as a whole, and
hockey in particular.
And, as we said, hockey is the best sport to go watch and bring your family live. I mean, there's no question. Hockey is the best.
It's what did it for me. I watched hockey on TV here and there, and then just stumbled into buying. I was working right around the corner from the then MCI Center, and I was like, hey, they got tickets available for the game. So I went and bought tickets for the game. I sat there. I saw my first game live. I'm like, I'm hooked. I love this sport now.
Yeah, exactly, man. And life again. It's just, dude. It's just incredible, man. I can't wait, and I was looking forward to it, man. I mean, look, our Caps are doing well, man. We just come back from a West Coast swing. I mean, we went 3-1 or something like that on the West Coast.
2-1-1 on the West Coast, taking 5 points out of 4.
2-1-1. You're right.
2-1-1, 5 points in 4 games that were 2 sets of back-to-backs, which is difficult. And I saw something from Twitter today saying that Carolina is trailing Washington on the West Coast trip. Yet Carolina has 0 back-to-backs on their West Coast swing that they're making.
Wow!
So thank you, NFL schedule makers.
NHL
was the part of the tweet there that I saw. But again, there's still no Anthony Mantha, still no Nicholas Backstrom. TJ Oshie came back for the San Jose game. Maybe did he play with the Kings and the San Jose games? I don't know.
I can't remember, man.
Yeah, and I think so Ovechkin with 3 goals out west, I believe.
30 points he's got for the season, man.
Yeah, at the beginning when he signed the 5-year extension here this summer, and people were saying he needed to average 35 a season, 35 goals a season to pass Wayne Gretzky there. But I think there's an outside shot of him clipping 60 goals this year, just this season alone. And right. Place the bet right now. Alex Ovechkin over under 60 goals this season. What are you going to go with?
Man, that's a lot, man. 60 goals. I'm going to say closer.
Okay, let's knock it down to 58.
I would say it's going to be closer to 55, man. I mean, he's got to still get his legs ready for the playoffs, man. I think they're going to rest him for the playoffs, and I just don't know if he's going to be on that goal streak. Now, listen, what's interesting about Ovechkin's goals, a lot of them this season, man, have not been on the power play. I mean, it's all been on 5-on-5. And I mean, he's a machine. He leads the team, 30 points, just incredible.
36 years old. I think I saw, I'm going to follow his age, every year, but he's no spring chicken. And
he's the Tom Brady of the NHL, man.
There's this reinvention of his game that he's gone and done now. That he's not, you would count on 18 goals from on the power play from the office there, but that hasn't been his season this year. Reinventing, becoming a different kind of player. His assist numbers are actually up this year over some years past.
Correct.
It's not just is he chasing this individual goals mark for himself, but I think that he's, as he took the captaincy, here a few years back and got to lift the cup first there in 2018. There was a time where I didn't think that Alex Ovechkin was the leader deserving wearing that C, but this year I think it is, and he's I've heard it from a few of the young players who have been up with the team this year that just getting to be with Ovechkin and what I get to learn from Ovechkin has really helped these kids.
Yeah, man. Like you said, there's a youth movement with the Capitals, man. It's very, very impressive, man. And I'll tell you what's underrated. We're going to talk about this, man, is the goaltending. I mean, the goaltending has been phenomenal. I mean, Samsonov, back-to-back shutouts. It's been impressive. Fakuli come in or Fakuli. Fucali.
That's a funny one to pronounce.
Yeah, Fucali comes in, gets a shutout on his NHL debut. I mean, just the goaltending has been absolutely spectacular. I believe Samsonov has a 2.1 goals against average. Vanecek has Vitek Vanecek. Yeah, he's got I think 2.3 goals per average. So I mean, really strong goaltending, man. With the Caps too. Like you said, TJ Oshie, Mantha, Backstrom, on the sidelines, man. To do that, like you said, that's an all-star line right there. You know what I mean?
That is the number one line for 25 of 32 NHL teams. I'd say.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, but as the season started, I was a Vanecek guy. I said give the number one position to Vanecek because I didn't think Samsonov was dependable, could stay healthy over an entire season in that number one goaltender's role. But he's 8 starts, 2.11 goals against. He's 6-0-1 there also, and I'm not seeing the 924 save percentage. Hey, that's pretty nice too. I'm not seeing his shutouts on here, but yeah, that's fine. As a team, three shutouts, if not 4.
Yeah.
So I'm starting to sway over to the Samsonov side. Let's give this guy the number one and give him the number one starts and ride with him for a little while.
Correct. Yeah, I mean, as I said, it's been a fun team to watch.
Absolutely.
It's been a real fun team to watch. And again, I think they're balanced. I think their defense is probably as good, as strong as I've seen the defense be. I mean, remember back in the day, man, we would always have these great scorers, but our defensemen would always let in,
the young guns era of the Capitals, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man. I mean, we were just built for speed, built for scoring, built for special teams. We would always get the power plays, but I'm really, really liking our defensemen, man, this year. So,
I'm going there and looking at
Nick Jensen, man. I mean, Nick Jensen has been great. Obviously, John Carlson is the leader of that defensive field, but Dmitry Orlov has been just solid.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, Nick Jensen's a plus 15. Plus minus is a hard number to actually go by as a true stat. Like Carlson's he's a plus 4, but a time on ice of 23 minutes a game.
Correct.
And in Orlov, there's only 3 Capitals averaging over 20 minutes a game, and that's Carlson, Ovechkin, and Kuznetsov. And I think it's because Kuzi's catching a little more time on the PK, and they're both out there with trying to protect a late lead, get those empty net little cheapy goals. Then you've got Orlov, Jensen, Faravari. I mean, they're spreading the minutes around these. This defenseman is good for the team as well.
Speaking of which, the Capitals, I'm so glad to introduce Mr. Craig Laughlin. The Locker is with us.
Hey, boys, what's up?
What's going
Hey,
on?
I heard
Mr.
all
Craig
the
Laughlin.
analysis. I heard all the analysis already. I don't need to be on the show. You guys
Oh, no,
nailed it.
you're
Gosh, man.
you got to hear the analysis from two fans. We want to hear it from the professional, and I don't know if you got to hear our little opening there. Congratulations, Mr. Craig Laughlin, for 25 years calling the Capitals. You have been our Capitals announcer as we've been fans. You and Mr. Joe Beninati, two of the best in the business, and two of the best citizens in this area. Thank you very much for your time and what you've done here for Washington D.C. and the Washington Capitals in particular.
Must mean that I'm old, right, fellas? 25 years. I've been with the team now about 40 years. I think I'm the longest tenured, other than Lou Strudler and Craig Leidig, one of the equipment guys, and still works for the team now. Him and I came along at the same time in the early 80s, so it's been quite the run. But Joe B and I, we're really thrilled to have 25 years together. I started off with Rimmer. I had Kenny Albert, and now I've settled really in with Joe B. And it's been a wonderful relationship. We're tremendous friends, and I think right now, somebody told me this note the other day, we're the longest tenured duel in the National Hockey League. We're 1 year more than the Detroit guys, so we've had good longevity, and let's hope it continues. I'm loving every minute of it.
You've seen a lot. I mean, I was a season ticket holder for almost 18 years, going back in like the early 90s, and watching this team and watching the satisfaction of having the cup come to DC and being a part of that, and I don't want to live on old days, because I think this team can bring back the Stanley Cup this year. I mean, what do you think, Craig?
Well, when you break it down, I'm really surprised, to be honest with you, with the start this team has had. I did not think they had the type of talent that they've shown up here from Hershey. I really thought the cupboard might be a little empty down there, because, you win the Stanley Cup, you're trying to make moves, you're trading away draft picks, you're trying to make your team better. And lo and behold, look at the guys that have come up. All 7 of them have been important pieces of the puzzle here. I mean, we're missing a whole second line, and the Caps are doing with these young kids. I mean, bless their hearts, because Fialbi, Leeson, you go to McMichael, you go to the guys that just have stepped up, and the 2 young netminders. So, yeah, this is a good thing. We've got a real shot this year, because I think they're a real cohesive unit, and they're really playing for one another, and you can't get better than that right now.
Well, as you know, I mean, the NHL playoffs, it's all about goaltending, right?
Yep.
Great goaltending. We've had fantastic, amazing goaltending years of late. It's been, and no matter who you put between.
Yeah, it's amazing. You look through the winning seasons that this Caps team has had, the common denominator is great goaltending, whether it be the Stanley Cup, and with Braden and Gruby started it, so tremendous goaltending. Right now, I would say this about the goaltending. We're the youngest tandem in the league. I'm a big experience guy, but then again, people tell me to get experience, you have to have experiences. And to me, their experience is the ups and downs of a young career. You look at Vitek, he took over. I to be honest with you, I anointed him number 1. Then all of a sudden, hey, right? And then Sammy comes in, and if the fans were listening to me the couple other nights ago, I said, look at Samsonov early on in the season was 65% athleticism, 35% technique. If you watch closely the last 2 games that he shut out the opposition, to me, it's been 65% technique, 35% athleticism. I think you need to be a goalie like that in this day and age, because the movements, the concise footwork, all those type of things are more prone to make big stops. I think when you're all over the place, and sometimes we describe it on the ice and on our show, outside the posts, which Sammy was the odd time guys early on in the season. That's why Vitek took over, but they are sponges for improvement. And working with Scotty Murray, the goalie coach, I see night and day. He worked hard with him in Anaheim on the ice prior to the pregame skate and after the pregame skate. And to me, that paid off with those 2 big shutouts that he posted for the Caps.
Look at how this tandem has improved from the point they were last year to where they are now. I mean, having 2 number 1s, I think is a great problem for Washington to have right now.
It really is. You look at this long season, a lot of back-to-back still await the Caps down into April and May. And to me, you need two guys. It's long gone the age of Marty Brodeur playing 70-some games. It doesn't happen now with the way the schedule is, the lack of practice, the travel is crazy. And you're going from city to city to city. And sometimes you just need to give your goaltenders a break. I would think that one guy, however, I would like to see one guy go on a long run of 7 or 8 games, putting it together, conducive to the schedule. And I'm sure the coaches have all looked at the schedule, and maybe there's a string there that, you know what, there is a guy stepping forward. Well, let him get on a little bit of a roll, because being on a roll going to the postseason, doesn't matter if you're the first or second goalie or 1A or 1B, whatever we want to call it. I think it's important to get the reps. And right now it's sort of oscillating. I think tomorrow night, you're going to see Sammy back in net against the Habs, and that to me is a must-win for them, because you shouldn't lose to inferior teams. I mean, you lose to Seattle, but the third period was fantastic. I hope they carry that over tomorrow night.
I'll give them a pass. I mean, they went 2-1-1, in the West Coast swing. It's coming to a new building.
You're saying lesser teams, and coming up Wednesday night here is Montreal. Montreal played for the Stanley Cup last year. Haven't looked at them that much in the standings, but you're calling them a lesser team this year, or than just haven't caught on yet.
They are, and I'm a former Hab, guys. I mean, I started my career with Montreal.
Now, 12 points, ouch.
And I love them. I love Montreal. I got my first goal there and all that, and so but right now I'm a Caps guy, and when I look at Montreal and I break them down, what are they? 1-7-1 and 9 road games. The goaltenders are banged up. They hope to have Jake Allen back tomorrow. He was just cleared, so he will start for Montreal. I think when you look at their record, 4-12-2 or whatever they are, they're at the bottom of the heap in the Eastern Conference. They're not going to make the playoffs this year. This is a huge fall from grace, but they have 9 guys injured, 7 on injured reserve, and there's some of their marquee players. So to me, they're an inferior team this year, and they're not going to make the playoffs, because we're just about at American Thanksgiving, and you guys know, hockey guys, you guys know, Thanksgiving is a good barometer to see where the teams are going to make the playoffs or be out of the playoffs. Correct. I don't see Montreal getting there. Shea Weber, Carey Price, see you later. They're both not playing. To me, they're in a tough bind in Montreal. It's unfortunate after that great run last year.
So here's another. Speaking of Habs, I got to tell you this, Locker. My great uncle is Jean Beliveau.
Oh my God,
that's my great uncle.
Yeah. That is amazing. Well, I want to tell you a story about Jean Beliveau. I broke into Montreal in one of my first games ever at the Forum. It was a Saturday night, hockey night in Canada. I ended up scoring my first ever goal, and we ended up losing, I think, to Calgary 7-4. And I get in the locker room. We're untying our skates at the old Forum, and I'm untying my skates, and I see this guy's feet come next to me. And then all of a sudden, I give the big look up, and it's Mr. Beliveau, as I called him. I stood up and I shook his hand, and I was so honored to meet him. The second story I have is my daughter wanted to go to a game in Montreal. She was going to school in upstate New York. She says, Dad, is there any way I can get tickets to the game? And I said, let me call some of my alumni. So I call Reggie Ewell, who's one of the all-time greats, and he's big time now into the community and all that type of things. He used to be the GM of Montreal. And he says, yeah, Craig, have her meet me at X, Y, and Z door. So she walks in, and I'm doing the game upstairs starting. We're in pregame. And she says to me the following: Dad, Reggie really can't get me tickets yet. It's sold out tonight. The Caps are in town. It's a Saturday night. Everybody's in a frenzy about Alex Ovechkin. I mean, they were scalping tickets for obscene amounts because of Ovi. And so my daughter just says, we might just stay in the club upstairs, but this club, Dad, is unbelievable. This is great. Free drinks, free food. It's a top line place upstairs for the ticket holders. And then she said this, right as we were ready to come on air, she said, Dad, it's amazing. Reggie Ewell just found tickets for me. And I said, how'd he get them? Mr. Beliveau gave her his seats for the game.
Wow.
Right behind the bench. I said, Courtney, where are those tickets? And she says she hasn't been able to find them for 25 years. And I'm like, Courtney. And Mr. Beliveau, as you guys know, seats are never to be sat in anymore. and they sit behind the Montreal bench, and that's where Courtney sat that game. So that's my two Mr. Beliveau stories.
I believe he passed away in 2014, if
yes.
I'm not mistaken. Yeah,
yeah.
right?
So it was right, it was years before that she went to the game. But
Yeah.
I would say that he is one of the most iconic players ever to lace him up in the National Hockey League. He doesn't often get mentioned in the same breath as.
Isn't his name the most on the Stanley Cup? I think tied for the most.
I think it's 10 or 11 or 12 times. Yes.
Yeah.
So congrats on you, man. That's something special.
I can't play hockey worth crap, man, but I do come with good.
But I was able to shake his hand, and that was one of my highlights of my career.
We have to get in. We obviously know your hockey. Before we get into the Caps, let's talk about you.
Okay.
You are in the Laughlin Family Trust and what you got going on, and the charities and things you've got. I just saw on Instagram you're giving away a Ryan Ellis helmet with the Capitals, for NASCAR.
Yep.
Which is awesome. But you also are involved in bourbon now. You get your own bourbon line going on and everything else.
Yeah.
Let's talk about this.
Yeah, let me tell you about this. I've got about 5 or 6 beers that I've done, and it all started. I
couldn't find a single one of them today.
I know. They're all sold out.
Maybe they're not. I wonder why.
I'll hook you guys up. Don't worry. My next one, I'm going to hook you guys up. I got one in January and coming out in February. But what happens is I got my son. I was always, as a hockey guys back in the 80s and 90s when I finished, early 80s, end of 80s. We were Bud Light guys. That's all was really around the locker room, and you'd go out and be on the bus, and you'd go into other towns, and it was mostly a Bud Light league. My son introduced me to IPAs, and that was about 4 or 5 years ago, just when they were sort of getting hot. And I fell in love with IPAs. I haven't had a Bud Light since. And so I had my love for the IPA. So when we started our foundation, my wife came down with a very rare female cancer called serous carcinoma, uterine serous carcinoma cancer. I said, what can we do? How can we, make this something special? And my wife said to me, Craig, we got to start raising money for underfunded cancers. And I said, well, okay, let's start a foundation. What can we do? So we did a banquet, which was outrageously great. We had over 300 people in a 200-seat venue, and it was unreal. And we raised over $100,000, $150,000 in 3 hours.
That's
phenomenal.
And
it was just awesome. So then I said, what about starting some beers? And I went to a couple of breweries. Aslan was my first one. They're good friends of mine. They're great, great guys. And they said, yeah, let's do a Locker 18 beer. So what I did then, I transitioned from not always putting the onus on them to give back to the foundation. I said, let's try other beers. So I tried Astrolabs, which was great. That was a Wicked Wrister. Then I went to Firm right here in Crofton. It's a stone's throw away from my house. I said, I got to support you guys. You're the only brewery here in our region, right around Annapolis. And I said, I got to support you guys. Is there any way we could do a collaboration to do some beers? And they said, yeah, let's start with a nice IPA. Let's do we did a Oktoberfest where I wear lederhosen. Then we're doing one. We're coming up with one in January. That's going to be a little different IPA. I'm a Citra, Mosaic, El Dorado. Mm-hmm. We're going to add a little dip of honey to it. Mm-hmm. And we're also going to add some melon and some ground grapes, which are weird little tiny grapes that grow here in Maryland that we were able to get. So we're going to do that in our IPA in January. So then I said, why don't we start and do something as far as liquor? And so I called up a guy right off New York Ave in DC, and lo and behold, it was called 1-8 Distilling. I said,
oh, perfect.
This is a match made in heaven. I text him within a half hour. He says, Craig, come down and meet me. We want to do a vodka and we want to do a whiskey. I said, okay. So we had a nice couple of beers or a couple of bottles there with them that all went to the foundation. Then we just came out with the last one was in October. Opening night was our German beer, and it was great. Locktoberfest was a great name they came up with.
Love it.
And then so now we're doing a bourbon this Saturday, and it's with Lost Ark Distilling in Columbia. And we're doing the bourbon. It's fantastic. It's very smooth. It got a lot of caramel flavor, and I'm not a bourbon guy. My son is, and he's sort of teaching me about bourbons. Mm-hmm. And then we've got a beer coming out in January again with Firm, And the one thing that I'll let you guys in, you guys will be the only ones to know. I mentioned it quickly on my Instagram that we did just prior to this, is that Joe B and I are coming out with a cab, a nice wine, to really celebrate our 25th anniversary.
That's awesome.
And it's going to be called, we think right now we're still in the middle of making labels and getting the winery, but we do have a winery that's very interested out in Livermore, just south of Sonoma in California. And they said, yeah, we'd love to do it. And we had a taste test on FaceTime the other night, a couple of weeks ago, and we loved it. And it's going to be a broadcast blend. And it's a very nice cab. So we hope to have that out in the new year too. And what's great about this is the money we raise goes to the foundation. It helps the doctors. We have a doctor up in Hopkins through our golf tournament and another event we had. We just donated another $100,000 to them a couple of weeks ago. And that we want to get this out in the open. My wife's passionate about this. I've become very passionate about this. So we're always thinking of different things. And that ties right into NASCAR. And NASCAR, guys, I've never been in NASCAR. I've never been a fan of NASCAR. But now I am. And I love Ryan Ellis. And I love everything that NASCAR did for us in that event.
That helmet looked amazing.
Okay, what we did is we did 5 helmets. We're going to auction one off. That particular one was mine, but they're all the same, other than Ryan Ellis's helmet. He just had it shipped to me because I'm going to have all the caps sign it. Ovi and everybody are going to sign the 5 helmets. 3 of them go to the sponsors, and one goes to me, and then one to auction, and then one to Ryan Ellis. And Ryan's, he's shipping me now. He had to clear it through NASCAR because they had to put all the microphones and headsets inside them. Inside the helmet, but he's going to wear that starting October 8th in Charlotte, and it'll be his first race, and he'll have our logo right on the chin there, which was awesome, the Caps logo. And he told me, he said, just make sure they don't sign the glass part because I won't be able to see. And I said, Ryan, I got you covered, brother. I got you covered. So we're pumped.
NASCAR guys anyway, man. They can't.
Yeah, I know. So we're pumped. We're excited.
That's
awesome. I'm trying to make all my notes here. Let me make sure I've got it. You've worked with Aslan Brewing, Astrolabs, Firm, and then 1-8 Distilling, Lost Art. So if I can't find a Craig Laughlin beer, I'm gonna.
You're not gonna find them. I tell you right now, the only place you can find them, they're sold in Gaithersburg at one of the major beer places. They're also sold in at a local places around here in Annapolis, and a lot of bars and restaurants have them in Annapolis by the keg. The problem is that we don't do a lot, guys. We probably do. Probably not
going to get a lot to Virginia here with
100 to 200 cases, and we don't have the distribute in Virginia. But if you guys are interested, I'll get you some of my next release, and that will be in January.
At the very least, I'm gonna put my money on some of the some of the breweries that you're working for. I can find their beers here in Virginia.
Yes,
I'm gonna be picking up some. So if it's not your particular beer, I will give my dollars to the companies that work with you.
Awesome. So that's fantastic.
Locker, let's get back to the Caps if you don't mind. Yep. Ovi is in the middle of a historic run. He is the Tom Brady of the NHL.
Yes,
he is ageless, and he's got 30 points already. Me and Sam were kind of discussing before you came on.
Yeah,
can he hit 60 goals this year? I think that's a little bit too much, but in your opinion, is he going to break Wayne Gretzky's record?
Well, I got to ask this. I mean, once a day. One day I'll say, no way, he's going to be too old, and he's not, he's ran 4 games without a goal, guys, and I'm thinking, there's no way. And then he runs off, 8 and 4 games. So I would never bet against Alex Ovechkin. I've seen him since day one. He is the GOAT. He is a fabulous athlete. The one thing that you notice about the numbers, and you guys were talking about some ice times and everything when I came on, there's only Draisaitl, I think, and Connor McDavid, and then JT Miller that are playing more than Ovi and Kuzi. They're all over 21 minutes. And for his age, playing over 21 minutes is fantastic. He's still got jump in his legs. You usually see players go dip a little bit as they get over 21 minutes. But last game in Seattle, he played over half the third period, and he was still on point. The thing that's out of his game now that I think helps him score the goals that he is again this year is he's taken a little bit of his physicality out. If you look at his hit totals, way down, and blocks are down. I don't want Ovi blocking a shot. I don't want necessarily him. It takes a lot of energy. You guys know, you watch Tom Wilson. Takes a lot of energy to have 3 or 4 hits in a shift, and that means you're probably chasing, and meaning you don't have the puck, which is not a good thing. So that line, the way they've had the puck so much, I think has taken some of the wear and tear off Ovi. So to get back to the answer, if he continues to play like he is, and I'd be surprised if there's a dip in his play, yes, he will catch Wayne. I would say that if he plays all the games, guys, that's the key. And the way he's playing now, he can play all the games because he's not crunching guys. He's not leaving himself vulnerable for a check or a hit, and he's shooting the puck as well as he ever has.
That leads me to my next question. Hockey has changed dramatically in the last 5 years. I mean, obviously with the concussion protocol, you know, the attention to healthiness of the players. But at the same time, do you not miss the old time hockey way?
You know, I think the best game in hockey is when we see, I'm a big offense guy. I like lots of goals. I like the number. The NHL is right around 5.8 or something now between each team in a game. I like it to be above 6. I just think goals are great for our game. Offense is great for our game. I think hitting can't leave the game. I'm disappointed in guys hitting from behind, to be honest with you, and there should be more penalties for hits from behind and suspensions. That is the most dangerous play in hockey.
Agreed.
So that has to be under control. I think the physicality has to stay in our game. That differentiates our game from a lot of other sports. That has to stay. I think the odd fight thrown in here once in a while is good for the sport. I know people are going to say, oh, take fighting out, take this out, take that. No, it's still part of the sport from 1910 on, and it's got to stay there. Can they cut down on it? Yes, we've cut down historically over the last 10 years. We're down to fights are probably 20%, 10% of what they were 10 years ago. So do I miss old time hockey? I want the physicality to be there. I want the odd fight thrown in there. It was a wild, wild west back in the 70s and 80s, a ton of goals a game. I love that. The players are faster now. They're better athletes. They have better equipment. They can shoot the puck harder than a hunk of wood that we used to use. They've got all these $200 sticks that they can shoot the puck a ton like Ovi does. And so to me, we're in a good spot here, guys. We're in a very good spot in hockey. And the following that we're getting around the world and in North America, it's amped up here in the States. But I think we got to continue to improve it. There's certain rules I don't like. I'd like things to be changed a little bit in the future. But the speed of the game, the hitting when we do have hitting, I wish there was a little more, but that's fine, guys. We're in a good spot right now.
I like it. I like the locker.
If I can ask you a question here, just real quick. Do you ever find yourself maybe in a quiet moment, and your thoughts drift back to 2018, that June of 2018, when this happens to me a lot. Just thinking back and how great, how magical, how great that team played, how magical that run was, how amazing the celebration was. The team brought that celebration to the fans. I love that. I didn't get to attend any games. We I got to take the whole family to Game 1 watch party at Capital One Arena, and just we had a blast. The parade when I was there with about 1.5 million of my closest friends. Those times. Do you ever just find yourself thinking back? Gosh, that was great. I seriously enjoyed that so much.
Well, let me throw that back at you in two different answers. I remember that time for two different reasons. When we went to the Stanley Cup against Vegas, that's when my wife was diagnosed with cancer. Okay, so that's one side of it.
Wow.
And that's why I didn't, for the fans out there watching your show tonight, that's why I didn't travel with the team to Vegas. I was asked to travel. but we were just starting radiation, chemo, hysterectomy,
Wow, we did
things
not know
like
that.
that.
Mm.
So I stayed back. So I was here in town for every game. I didn't get to see the excitement on the road in Vegas. Joe B was there, Alan May, and those guys were. I was back home taking care of my wife and getting her up to Hopkins and doing all the things we had to do to try to do the cancer thing. So that's one side of my 2018 Stanley Cup playoffs. And it still stings. It's still but we got through it, and she's doing great now. So we're on the road to recovery. The second part of it was the elation of being with the Caps since Save the Caps campaign. When I came along from Montreal with Langway, Jarvis, Engblom, and myself for Rick Green and Ryan Walter, we came into a town that as soon as we got here, well, guys, it's the Save the Caps campaign. And I was like, what? And it's so funny because you guys will get a kick out of this, and a lot of fans don't know this. My last game with Montreal was actually at Capitol Center. And we played at Capitol Center, and there was probably 10,000 fans in the building. And we watched as we were getting on our bus up the long ramp that the players used to walk up at Old Cap Center. And we were watching all the fans on the ice. And this never happened in Montreal. They'd never have fans on the ice with the players at the end of the game, but they had laid out tables. It was the shirts off their back. They were signing autographs, and we just couldn't believe it coming from Montreal that they were doing this. That September, we ended up getting traded, and we sort of felt it coming because that playoff series we lost to the Quebec Nordiques in the first round, and we were the best team in the league. And Dale Hunter scored on a wraparound for the Nordiques. So all through the summer, there was a lot of uproar. And come training camp, as soon as we walked in for the first day, hey, Rod, can I see you up in Irv Grunman's room? Craig, you need to go up. Jarvie, you need to go up. Engblom, you need to go up to talk to Mr. Grunman, the GM at the time. And he says, you guys are going to Washington. We knew nothing about Washington, guys, other than the fact that when we landed, it was Save the Caps campaign. We got to keep this town we got to keep this team in the town, Mr. Poland told us. And so we had a great first year. We were the first team to make the playoffs in the history of the Caps. And from then I've seen the snowball of this town becoming a hockey town. We weren't recognized back in the day, guys. We were the Caps. Once we went to the playoffs, we got bounced several times by the powerful Islanders. Give them credit. They were a dynasty, and they still are to this day a dynasty, winning those 4 cups in a row. But at the end of the day, we had established the Washington Capitals as a team, and that it was a stable team in the National Hockey League. So I was lucky enough to see it through 2018. And you guys remember all the heartache, and I think that made it sweeter for me. Not only losing to the Islanders, we lost to the Rangers one year when we shouldn't have lost to them. We were one of the best teams in the league. Then I see some of these Caps teams with Alex Ovechkin on bowing out in the playoffs, and just the heartache.
It's been terrible. I've been there live and just cried.
You got it. So did I. I cried as a player when we lost, and then I cried as a fan and an announcer when you look at it and you say, we should have won that series. And deep in your heart, you guys know as fans too, that you know what, you only get a certain amount of time to win it. So we won it. And it was like the weight of the world was off the franchise. We are now a superstar franchise. The fans that were at the watch party, 18,000 sold out, and they're watching on the telescreen.
Outside was more. More.
And more. I mean, and I was there. I was in the middle of it, and I was like, this is the greatest thing that ever happened to me. And then about 3 weeks later, after we had the parade and all the hijinks we had there with Ovi and everybody on stage, it was just, and I was in the background. I was hanging out with all the guys, and it was just a special, special moment for me personally. Then 3 weeks later, I get a call, and hey, Craig, can you call me back? And I'm like, okay. And he says, this is Mr. Dick Patrick. And Dick and I go way back. Dick Patrick's been the president of this team since the 80s, and he was with me back in the day. And he arrived probably 2 years prior to me, probably in the late 70s, 78, 79, 80, right before David Poyle was hired and Brian Murray. And I said, yeah, I'll call you. I got on the phone. I got a message. I said, yeah, I better call him right back. So I'm in my car. I call him back. and he says to me this. He says, Craig, I just want to say congratulations to you. As a team, we're so happy that you guys, did the games and everything like that. And I do want to tell you that you will be getting the Players Stanley Cup ring and necklace for the wife. And I was like, what?
Incredible.
And so we had a party for us. The team had a separate get-together. Then I had a separate get-together, and a group of probably 15 or 20 had a separate get-together in Tyson's Corner. And that's when they gave us the ring. And that, to me, was sort of the point where I said, this is so special. This means so much to me. And to this day, I've worn it 3 times. I don't generally wear it. And everybody tells me, Craig, wear your ring. Wear it, wear it, wear it. And I'm like, it's a beautiful ring. I might start wearing it a little more as I get older. Not that I'm old now, but I will start wearing it. But it was such a run. And to me, it will be something I'll never, ever, ever forget.
Agreed. I mean, obviously we're not as intimate in the team as you are, but I tell you, I mean, it just felt, I mean, it was one of the happiest days of my life.
Yes.
It was just incredible. Like you said, if it wasn't for the heartache and the pain and all the misery that we've gone through, I don't think it would have made that as special as it was.
I agree. And take us back, you take us back to that playoff series in the 90s when we get swept by the Red Wings, right? Yeah. And it didn't feel like a Stanley Cup final here in this town.
Agreed. I was there.
And it didn't feel. The upper level wasn't even sold out for Game 4.
I agree.
And now all of a sudden, you can't get tickets to this team. I mean, it has been Mr. Leonsis, their group, the Rock the Red campaign, everything they do in the community, having guys out all the time. It's continued from the 80s, but now even more so with these athletes are so in tune with the fans, and that's what makes this team special.
I've had the opportunity to travel to a lot of teams all across the United States, and I would say by far the marketing, and I'm in business, the marketing of the Washington Capitals is the best I think in any other team in sports.
I think that a lot of credit there has to be to Mr. Ted Leonsis and
yes.
what he brought in his AOL experience when he purchased this team. And he said at that time it was a process and let's work through it. And it did pay off.
Well, having Ovi, having Backy back in the day, remember the young guns, with Mike Green and all that, and we were scoring a ton. It enthused the fans. Scoring enthused the fans that year with Boudreau, and when Boudreau took over, and all of a sudden we're scoring 5 goals a game. That got the fans pumped up, and these young guns playing the way they were. But Ovi has turned this town more so than he is. And I talked to the announcers around the league. He is the most prominent player now in North America. And everyone says, well, isn't it Connor? Isn't it Connor McDavid? Isn't it Draisaitl? No. Is it Crosby? No. The guy that the guy that has the most pop is still Alex Ovechkin, because he's doing what he's done his whole career at 36 years of age. Incredible.
It's been. And what about Alex Ovechkin's connection, not just to us as fans, but to this community and everything that he does? It's if it wasn't for the funny accent that he has, you would think he was a Washingtonian. He's born and raised here. I want to credit you a little bit with that as well. Washington has adopted you as their own, as we have Alex Ovechkin. I mean, you're a part of that as well.
Well, thank you. It's been pretty cool to hang out with these guys. I've seen them grow. Remember, I've been traveling with the team. This is the first. We'll travel starting in January again with the team, and during this COVID stretch, we've been doing the games from the studio or at the rink when we're at home. And I've seen Alex Ovechkin as a 19, 20-year-old grow to 36 each and every day, and how he's grown into a leader, into the face of the National Hockey League. When we first started, we always used to joke because we'd get on the bus and we'd all pack into the bus with Boudreau and Dino, and we'd have, everybody would be on one bus. Now they travel with 2 or 3 buses for the press and the training staff and the players in their own private bus and all this stuff. But back in the day, and we'd pull up into a hotel at 2 a.m, and there'd be people outside. We were like, I thought for a minute we were a traveling rock band because the fans were waiting at 3 a.m. outside the Winnipeg hotel that's minus 30 degrees out, and they are waiting with signs and congratulations to Ovi, and Ovi, can we get this? Can we get that? And I've seen them mature over the years. I mean, I never, and I'll be perfectly honest with you guys, I never knew and never thought he'd have this type of legacy starting from day one because of the growth that he's had. It's been amazing to watch how he's grown as a player, as a person, how he's, he fits right in. You nailed it, right? He fits right in as one of us here in the DMV. That's what makes him so special.
What impressed me with him, and I know you got to go, Laughlin, we'll let you go, but was how he negotiated his own contract. It was done.
A lot had to do with Mom, guys. Mom plays a big role in all of it. Mom probably said, Alex, you better get this, this, and this.
Yes. She definitely had a huge impact, man. But like you said, it's so exciting. I can't thank you enough, Locker, for coming. I mean, this has been like
anytime.
It's been amazing. And as the season continues and we get in the playoffs,
let's do it. Let's do it in the new year. Let's do it in the new year. I'd love to be back on with you guys.
We're on Roku. We're on Amazon. We broadcast all across the world, and we're so excited. Locker, I do want to say, how can people donate to your foundation?
They can go to our foundation page. We got a great website, thelaughlinfamilyfoundation.org. You guys can read all about it. The fans can read all about our mission. Courtney, my daughter, does a lot of the updates on what's happening next, what type of things we're going to be doing, how we're involved with NASCAR. You see a lot of great pictures of the car. And then our next thing we'll be doing is the bourbon on Saturday. Joby and I will be signing the bottles and hanging out with the fans and chit-chatting like we did tonight, guys. Just chit-chatting hockey. I love talking hockey. I love talking with you guys. And that's what makes hockey so special. We're small. Like hockey isn't the NFL yet in the United States, but we're growing, and we've got some great teams here in the United States, and we're not Canada frenzied hockey yet, but here in Washington, we're getting close to the big boys in Canada, and that's what I'm so proud of.
100% agree. And I think, as I said, the 2018 season did enormous influence on the youth and youth hockey. And I mean, everywhere you go up in Northern Virginia and Maryland has been, I mean, these kids are in their pads and their sticks.
They're all wearing number 8. Yeah. I said, hey, where's that one there? Make it 18, man. Come on.
I'm going to have to dig me up an 18 there. But step into a Dick's Sporting Goods. See what the display is for Washington Capitals apparel versus Washington football team apparel. It's like 30 racks and one rack.
It is. You are right.
There's something going on.
We're taking over. Remember, when I started, we were in the era of the Redskins, now back then called the Redskins, not the Washington football team as it is today. But we were right. I got to witness a lot of the guys that won the Super Bowl in the early 80s. I mean, they used to come to our games, guys. John Riggins, Theismann, all those guys. I used to. Actually, my first couple of years also with the Bullets, Ricky Mahorn, the Bash brothers, we used to hang out. They lived right up the street here in Crofton, and they were supporters of both teams, and it's carried over, right? Ovi's a big Washington football team fan,
Nationals
a big
fan,
Nats
right
fan.
There when they won. Yeah, when they won.
Right. I mean, we're all tight-knit. This group, the teams in this town are pretty tight-knit, but the hierarchy has changed. With Theismann and Riggin, they were there. Then it was the Bullets when I played, and then it was us. We were sort of the stepchild down here. Now it has changed, and I'm saying the Caps are near the top. And
they are the top.
Yeah, they are the top.
They are the top
for what they've done, and it makes it for great drama, great sports, and I hope the other teams win too, guys. I'm a big fan of all of the teams in town. I hope they at one point win also.
Excellent. Locker, thank you. You've been amazing.
Thank you again so much, a million times.
Anytime, guys. Just give me a buzz. You guys got my number and everything now. Give me a buzz.
100%, my friend.
All right.
Thanks.
Thank you so much.
Good night, guys.
We'll see you tomorrow night.
All the best. Take care.
Thank you.
You got it.
Craig Laughlin, everybody. Man.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, that's it. Show's over. We are going to do nothing better than that right there. Wow. Wow.
Oh my gosh, I can't tell you how awesome that is, man. Sitting around talking a little hockey with Craig Locker. It's been a great night.
And
But
the storytelling, man, that was something. It's some old '80s stories, and you're gonna have to, I was trying to, when you mentioned your great uncle there, trying to do some quick research. It's a name I think I've heard, but I don't know. I couldn't even spell it. So I want to go find out who this guy is and his impact in the league there as well.
Yeah, he's an incredible hockey guy out of the Habs, man. So, but like I said, we finish up the Caps, man. The Caps, they do come back home from that long West Coast swing. 15 goals for Ovi. He's 15 and 15 goals, 15 assists, 30 points. Kuzi regenerated 22 points, 6 goals, 16 assists. Right. I think he's filling in very well for Backstrom. In terms of taking that number one center spot. And then again, we talked about Tom Wilson. Tom Wilson has changed his game, obviously, to be more of a, less of a goon, and more of a hockey player, score and assist guy. And it's been awesome. So, hey, look, man, we got to get healthy. Oshie's got to get back, Backstrom's got to get back. We got to get these guys back. Manta's
and I think Washington.
We're doing pretty well.
There's been some talk of Washington's power play being a little bit down so far this year. And as I'm looking at them, the 22 rated power play, Nicholas Backstrom comes back. I think you're going to see that number rise very, very, very quickly.
The number's going to jump.
It's just his. It's a quiet brilliance. When you're watching a game, when you're watching Joby and Locker, and they detail a Backstrom pass, it's like, how did he do that? It's a brilliance that I just love watching Nicholas Backstrom play the game, and especially on the power play. He's a magician, an artist.
For sure, guys. We're gonna make us transition to college football, man. Big shakeup as a college football this weekend. I mean, I don't know what to tell you, man. I mean,
I haven't even got a chance to check the rankings, but this weekend, boy, did some big things change up there.
Big time, and I think the rankings just came out, guys. Bearcats join Georgia, OSU, and Bama in the CFP's top 4. So now the Bearcats are back in, guys. So there you go. It is
back in. That's their first time. Their first time in. Yep. Okay. I'm seeing that now. I was going to the rankings myself to see that.
And then look, Michigan's 5, Notre Dame's 6. So you have Georgia, Ohio State, Alabama is 3rd, Cincinnati is 4th. They are in. Obviously, Michigan is playing Ohio State. And then you have Notre Dame, which, Notre Dame's not playing anybody, so they're going to be in the outside looking in this year. I hate to say
Notre Dame does not have they don't have a game. No, that's 10-1. They'll be done. No more.
They'll be done, and then Cincinnati's going to be playing Houston, which that's going to be a great game, man. Like Cincinnati,
you've got a ranked Houston team giving Cincinnati a chance for another win against a ranked team. Build that resume just a little bit more. But as we sit, this is the final week of the regular season. Coming up here, Michigan, Ohio State, Alabama, Auburn. What you see right now, 1 through 6, could be a completely different makeup come Sunday morning when they wrap their games.
Correct. Yeah.
Michigan. If Michigan takes out Ohio State, they have to go up in there. Are you going to bet against Alabama? Or who are you going to bet in an Iron Bowl matchup between Auburn and Alabama? The answer is you don't bet that game. I don't care what stats say or what records are or anything. That's completely out the window this weekend. Auburn, Alabama.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, dude, I mean some of these shakeups that happened, man. I'm just kind of. I won't say I'm shocked. I did expect it. I don't, like as I said, it happens every year, right? Like in Oregon, got their butts kicked.
Michigan State did Michigan State even show up to play against Ohio State?
That was pathetic.
There were some people wearing green, but I don't think it was
a $90 million extension. Okay, for having a great year, one great year like this. But again, he's lost 2 big games, right?
Mhm.
I mean, and Michigan State just got smoked. Okay, now let me tell you this: Alabama, 45-32. Arkansas showed up. I mean,
that game was closer than that score.
No, I think
shows.
I think the game was actually. I mean, Alabama had that big lead, and Arkansas came back on them. But I think Bryce Young had
Arkansas was not scared of Alabama one single bit, and that's why if I was Alabama fans, I'd be worried this weekend's matchup with Auburn. You think Auburn's scared of Alabama? Not one bit.
I don't know, but again, I mean, look, Bo Nix is out, for Auburn. So I don't know, man. I mean, it's gonna be interesting how these guys finish. Obviously, Alabama is now into the SEC championship. It's already locked up. Them and Georgia are gonna be facing each other in Atlanta. So no matter what happens, really, look, I mean, if Georgia beats Alabama, obviously, I think Alabama falls out of the top 4, right?
I do too. I just don't think a 2-loss team.
You can't have a 2-loss team in the playoffs.
A 2-loss Alabama.
You can't.
A 2-loss Alabama team and Notre Dame sitting back there, whose only loss would be to number 4 Cincinnati.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I think Notre Dame moves up there.
But here's the thing too: if Alabama wins and Georgia loses, and depending on how badly they get crushed, you can't kick Georgia out. You got to have Alabama in Georgia, and then again Cincinnati's going to be in if they beat Houston. Yeah, and I think the playoffs are pretty much locked up.
I just think there's too much left. I think there's too much left to happen. Let's say Michigan beats Ohio. Let's say Michigan beats Ohio State this weekend. Then Michigan goes to the Big Ten championship and loses. That opens the door. If Oklahoma State can win out, I would say Oklahoma State could move in, and that's with an Alabama loss to Georgia.
Well, and that's a great question too. I mean, you're going to take somebody a potential situation to where you're not going to have anybody in the Big Ten in the playoffs. Mm-hmm. You're going to have 2 SEC teams, a G5 team, and potentially
and Notre Dame,
who's not in the conference,
Notre Dame, mm-hmm.
which it would be the worst disaster for the NCAA. That would be a disaster for this community.
It absolutely would. I mean, as much as college football is Saturday's religion in the South, in the Midwest, in Big Ten country, college football is a big deal as well.
Yes.
To lose those fan bases, those markets.
Well, I would argue college football is the number 1 sport in the South.
Yes.
I mean, would you put any NFL team?
Well, who's let's think of some Southern
other than
NFL teams.
Dallas Cowboys,
which they're kind of that's kind of Southwest area. I mean, so
it's college
Miami
football.
Dolphins, Jacksonville Jaguars, Atlanta Falcons, Carolina Panthers. I mean, college is a way bigger
college
deal.
Football, SEC football is the number 1 sport in the Southeast by far. Mm-hmm. It's not even close. Now, obviously, if you go to the Northeast, it's a whole different story. That's the NFL area. But
but then you get in the Northeast, and you're talking teams like your Rutgers and your UConns, and
right.
If my choices were go to jail or go to a Rutgers game, I'd spend the weekend in lockup.
Well, I mean, here's the deal. So you got Ohio State playing Michigan this weekend, right? It's just going to be huge. But if you have Michigan. It's at the big house, right? It's at Michigan. Michigan
gets them at home with a good team, with a chance to finally break the Ohio State winning streak.
I'm gonna throw a little curveball here for you. If Michigan loses, Jim Harbaugh is 0 against Ohio State.
Yeah. It's like an 0 for 6, 7, 8. It has not been good in Michigan versus Ohio State for the last decade.
He's done. He's not coming back. Michigan will fire him. Okay. I've got another thing. Breaking news. The Chicago Bears just
saw this.
quote unquote fired rumor. They fired Matt Nagy. They said they didn't fire him. I mean, look, Chicago Bears are the only team that can botch their own firing of their coach. Reports say that they are firing Matt Nagy and he will not coach past the Thanksgiving game. And then Matt Nagy comes out and says, I have not talked to anybody. I don't know what you're talking about. These are unequivocally false. But what was funny about that, man, is you've got these guys say that, one thing and having to do another, but we all know that Matt Nagy's gone. Okay, they're probably going to lose to Detroit. Matt Nagy's gone. If Jim Harbaugh gets fired, which he will, if he loses against Ohio State, you could see Jim Harbaugh going to Chicago as the NFL coach.
How do you think that Jim Harbaugh would get along with that owners and management group there in Chicago? Really?
Talk every
day. So
you remember Jim Harbaugh played for the Chicago Bears.
Yes. So he could get and
he loves the McCaskey family.
I don't really hate that idea of
Dwight Taylor
Harbaugh.
says kayak fishing is the number one sport.
So we here at Motion Sports are going to do our best to make kayak fishing to move it up the rankings, and I will do my part by promising that I will not join any of the teams in the kayak fishing league because.
And also, here's another one.
You don't need those zeros week after week.
Jason Garrett's available. Bears and Texans. Giants released Jason Garrett, offensive coordinator for New York Giants. He was gone too. So we don't want anything to do with that guy. He needs to go back to high school.
Chicago has offensive problems. They don't need to bring a bigger offensive problem in.
Yeah, but
it was kind of a bummer when I tuned. I got home after doing a little bit of stuff on Sunday, and I wanted to watch that Ravens and Bears game, and there was this ugly redheaded dude playing quarterback for Chicago. I'm like, wait, what? Why? What's going on here? And I missed the rib injury for Fields.
I promised I'd get upset about tonight about the Bears. I'm not going to get upset. I'm going to let things pass by. I want to see what happens Thursday, and then we'll kind of go on a rant next week. How about that? Okay.
Okay. All right. But you know what?
I can dig deep in that. But how
they did not play terrible against the Ravens,
no.
and they had a chance, not a great chance, but they had a chance again with the Ravens missing Lamar.
But let's talk about a team that's absolutely super hot right now. We talked a little bit college football. Let's talk about a little NFL. We'll sprinkle a little NFL. The Washington football team is now on a 2-game winning streak. Sam, how about them?
Ron
Rivera goes in and beats his old quarterback Cam Newton.
And I think that
you've been on the Taylor Heineke bandwagon, dude.
I think I'm the president of the Tyler Heineke fan club because I just saw a post from NBC Sports this week, and I gave my 2 cents in that Washington, draft the quarterback in the draft this year. Spend your number 1 draft pick on a quarterback. You're going to put yourself behind 2 years as this quarterback gets in, because it's not going to be an amazing quarterback like a Mac Jones or a Kyler Murray. It's going to be a second, third tier quarterback, and so it takes him a year of getting up to speed and then moving along. And is Rivera going to hang out for this? Is the Snyder ownership group going to hang on to this? No, Heineke probably will never win a Super Bowl. let's say 99.9% chance that he won't. But he's better than anything Washington has. He's better than anything Washington has to look forward to.
Yeah. I listen. How much? Look, Ron Rivera. I think he's reached his look. I think he's reached his patience with this football team, and he come out with a terrible start, like 2-6 or something like that. Is what they came out 2-5. He's done with the injuries. He's done. He's done everything he can. Obviously, all the off the field crap has been more of a distraction. His cancer and everything else.
And I think that's kind of, we're a few weeks removed from some of that stuff, so they're finally getting away.
Yeah, but man, look, I think this is his 3rd year. This is his 3rd year, and I think in a 5-year contract, right?
Second?
No, I think it's 3rd. I think this is his 3rd year.
Okay. All right.
So with all that being said, man, does he have enough stamina after this year fighting cancer with all the other crap going on? And then he's going to deal with the renaming of the team come next year,
right? And how bad that's going to be. And I think that Washington's trying to to get back to get DC to build them a stadium, and there's just a lot of moving parts
stuff, right?
with
Jason
that
Wright
Washington.
is doing. I think Jason Wright's doing a pretty good job as president or acting president. You know, I mean, he's doing everything he can. But I mean, this team, look, 2-game winning streak, not too bad. I mean, are they going to make noise? Are they going to make a run? Philadelphia's playing fantastic. I think they've won 3 in a row. All of a sudden, the NFC East, minus the Giants, is going to be competitive, man. I mean,
if you're Washington,
Dallas lost.
and I give Washington fans a hard time for this, while reading everything through Washington colored glasses, that well, we win next week, and then we win this, and then we're going to be into Dallas, and we take one against Dallas, and it's this always optimistic thing that if this happens, then we're going to go on a roll. I pump the brakes on that. I said on our NFL kickoff show that Washington's defense was going to be responsible for 3 wins this season. Washington's defense has been responsible for 3 losses this season.
Yeah, you're right.
But I've seen slight improvements over the past few weeks, that maybe they're getting a little bit of stuff right there on the defensive end, and maybe starting to learn to trust this Heineke kid. He's still going to throw a bad ball because he's basically a rookie quarterback, and so teach him. You have a guy who's taken snaps in the NFL. He's seen NFL defenses, as opposed to whoever the heck you want to draft next April. Hasn't done any of that. So build on what you have. There's some talent there. Best arm in the league? No. But how many times is a quarterback going to throw 30 yards downfield in a game anyway? Twice, 3 times?
Right.
Get it to a speedy McLaurin and let him make a move.
Sam, I'm going to give you 3 stocks up and 3 stocks down, okay, for teams. Stock up for me, team number 1, New England Patriots. They're now leading.
That's a stock way up.
They have done a miraculous job turning that season around. Mac Jones is absolutely doing a fantastic job. They win 25-0 on Thursday night against Atlanta. We were on air, and we watched that massacre. But I mean, New England has absolutely shown its own, man, and they lead the AFC East. Another stock up for me, man, Indianapolis Colts. Jonathan Taylor, 5 touchdowns, 189 yards. The guy is unstoppable. I mean, go into Buffalo, beat them like a little redheaded stepchild, 41-15. The Indianapolis Colts all of a sudden have emerged as a contender in the AFC.
And I'm going to guess that the Bills are one of your stock downs.
I'll get to that one. Yeah, I was going to get to that one.
But I like what's some of the things that's going on there with Indianapolis. I just think that if you want to try and make some moves in that division, you've already played Tennessee and lost to Tennessee twice. You're going to hope that Tennessee puts in, maybe a couple more performances like they did, and you can put some performances in like you did, and steal a game or 2 back, and maybe work your way into a tie. Yeah. But looks like a definite wild card team to me there in Indianapolis.
Yeah. I think they make it. Another stock up, man, is the Kansas City Chiefs for me. The third stock up. They have been a Jekyll and Hyde type team. You never knew what Kansas City the Chief team was going to show up. They took they had a couple bad losses this year, man. To be honest with you, they seem to found their footing. They win again against Dallas. Dallas didn't even score a touchdown, man. I mean, they didn't score a touchdown against Kansas City's defense, which is, I mean, come on.
And Kansas City has whatever was going on with them early season, it seems like they've gotten the ship righted there.
Correct.
And as they have been known to do, trail in a game and then have to make a comeback. This season it was trail in the season, and now we have to make a comeback, and here they come, and they're going to go 1, 2. I see 3 straight versus the West. You get a Steelers, Bengals in the season with the Broncos. Their schedule toward the end of the season looks conducive to going right along and winning the West and moving themselves up to 2-3 seed. I don't think you're going to contend to be the number 1 seed in the AFC, but definitely 2-3.
Okay, my stock downs. I'm taking 3 teams. They're all AFC. Number 1's Buffalo. We talked about it, man. Buffalo, you can't lose at home like that. You cannot lose
No.
at home like that. I mean, look, that's a tough loss. They also, when they went down Miami and lost, that is not a. I'm sorry, they went down to Jacksonville and lost. Lost 9-6. You can't lose those games. I'm sorry, Buffalo. You get my stock down. And Buffalo was my pick to go to the Super Bowl, bud. I had Buffalo and Los Angeles Rams.
Yeah.
And my other stock down, dude, is Cleveland Browns. I had high expectations for this team this year, man. They just can't.
As did I. I thought that this was going to be the year that offense really clicked. They were going to be a 50-50 pass run kind of team because they've got some weapons there in the backfield. But I think the injuries to Mayfield have hurt. They couldn't even gain any momentum, and I think it's slowed his build and progression in the league as well.
Correct. My third stock down team, Sam, is the Tennessee Titans. That is a terrible loss against Houston at home, man. 22-13. I know that Derrick Henry's out. Dude, they can't be losing these games like that, man. They've had a couple games. They have a couple games that I just kind of scratch my head and be like, okay.
They have another bad loss. Oh, Jets. They lost one to the Jets this year, too.
To the Jets. Exactly.
Yeah. That's 2 bad losses for this team. You know, they should be, 10-1?
Yeah.
And honestly, they should have played better in week 1 against the Cardinals.
Correct.
The Henry injury is a big deal, but as we talked about this last Thursday when we were on the air, I said, look at that Texas number. I think that Texas was getting 10, and I just thought that was big, and it's just something I thought. I was like, Tennessee's been playing out of their minds, playing over their heads post Henry injury. Maybe it's time for a fall back to earth, and that's definitely what this game was this past Sunday. And then they've got to go to New England this weekend. It could get rough. You could see a couple of losses piling up for him. But looking at their end of season schedule, it's a lot better than some other division leaders that I see. Yeah.
Well, guys, we have a couple Thanksgiving games going on, man. Coming up this week, Chicago at Detroit. I probably won't even watch this pathetic game. Detroit will win this game. Andy Dalton is starting for the Chicago Bears. I don't even want to talk about this game. This is just be terrible. Okay, let's move on.
How about this for an Armageddon scenario in Chicago? Dalton comes in, goes let's say 22 for 31 for 280 yards and 3 touchdowns in a win over the Lions. How terrible would that be for Justin Fields to get himself back on the field there once
they've
he
already
recovers?
said that Justin Fields is no matter what the starter of the Chicago Bears. So I don't think that's out of hand. I'll be honest with you, man. Justin Fields hasn't been playing great, and so and the coaches kind of blame themselves on that. I'll give you a little quick analysis. Like I was talking about this on Twitter. It's blown up on Twitter. If you look at the plays and you break it out the old 22s, and you look at the offense defense tapes. And you look at especially the scoring plays, Sam, that Chicago did. When Andy Dalton came in, he threw a 55-yard touchdown and a 60-yard touchdown pass, right? Now, one of them was just a screen pass, and Darnell Mooney just went straight to the end zone. The other one was when Marquise Goodwin caught a bomb, and we wound up catching another great touchdown. It was 4th and 11, got behind the safeties and moved on. But both plays, Sam, number one, a screen pass to avoid the rush and let Darnell Mooney do his thing. The other one was max protect, okay, a tight end, the running back in the backfield, catching the blitz, and a perfect pocket was formed. If you look at the plays, all but 2, Sam, all but 2 that Justin Fields had was empty sets.
Okay.
Not a screen pass. It was just go get them. And obviously the Ravens did their film study. They looked and saw what the Pittsburgh Steelers were doing. It was blitz, 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 blitz. And the Bears refuse to protect this kid. And he's been terrible because he's not been able to get the ball off. He's been sacked like, I don't know. He's the most sacked quarterback in the NFL. I mean,
how many designed runs has Fields had? How many designed rollouts has he had? They
won't do it for this kid. It's insanity.
For someone with his athletic ability and with the offensive line as porous as they are, that's what you have to do to keep your to keep defenses honest. It's like, okay, here, we're blitzing up the middle. Oh crap, he's 9 yards to my left, slinging the ball. But if they're having someone with athleticism to sit back there and have to fend for themselves, that's just the wrong thing to do.
They need to clean house. They need to. You've got to fire every coach. The GM. They need to fire everybody. We
talked about this. We talked about this with Melissa Kim. That the Ravens said we're going to build around what we have with Lamar Jackson.
You're exactly right.
And okay, it's probably a big stretch to compare Fields to Jackson, but the similarities that are there, work with what you have. Yep. It's working in Arizona. It's working in Kansas City. It's working in New England. It's working in Baltimore. So why wouldn't something like that work in Chicago as well?
Right. Exactly. Another game, Sam, Thursday night game, Las Vegas versus Dallas, man. Both teams reeling off of losses coming off of week 11 there, man. Dude, both these teams are just trying to find themselves. Dallas is 7-3. It's not the end of the world with them. Am I worried about their loss against Kansas City? Not really, man. I'm really not.
No,
I'm just not
either.
I think they go in, and I think they handle their business. I think they score 35 plus points against Las Vegas. Now, this could be a shootout, man. Who knows? This could be a shootout, and Derek Carr and
Dak Prescott.
Dak Prescott could just be, throwing lights out, man. But I like Dallas's defense over than I do Las Vegas's defense. I think Dallas actually wins. And again, they go to a healthy 8-3, and we'll see what happens, man.
And I said early season, the Dallas defense is terrible. Last year's Dallas defense was terrible. This year's Dallas defense has made huge strides. All you had to do was be middle of the pack and be way better. And there's still some stuff to be worked out in Dallas, and there's still time to do it. You still have 2 matchups with Washington, so it's the things. Dallas could have this division wrapped up in just a couple of weeks.
For sure.
And I still like Dallas. I like the things that are going on there. I like the improvements, and I like what you have in Dak Prescott, Ezekiel Elliott, and the receiving core there in Dallas. It's an amazing offense. You say shootout, could be. We could be watching a 38-35 game while we're having our well, in my case, pumpkin pie. You're not a pumpkin pie guy, you said, but no. pick your Thanksgiving dessert and watch yourself a shootout. As the day drags on Thursday.
Yeah. Cool. Well, dude, that's all I've got, man. All I can tell you, dude, awesome night. And thank you, Locker, for coming on. Man, it was awesome. It was nostalgic, it was an honor to talk to you.
I've got the Laughlin Family Foundation.org pulled up here, and just need to go and
we link it all.
Grab my credit card. I'm gonna make my donation right here, right now. Not as a thank you to Craig Laughlin. It's the things that he went through with his wife and cancer. Raise your hand if you don't have a family member affected by cancer some way, somehow. Funny, I don't see anybody's hands up because it does. And with his wife's rare form of cancer, these rare cancers that do not get the push as some other things do. Not to belittle anything and anything that's doing any. I did the Light the Night Walk just a couple of weeks ago for the Leukemia Lymphoma Society. Everything that the NFL does for Breast Cancer Awareness Month. November is some kind of a men's health month, and there's prostate cancer to prostate cancer awareness or something like that. All these things and all these people are affected by it. And in a man like Greg Laughlin, with the platform that he has, with the connections that he has, and how he has built this in just a handful of years, and what he's done is an amazing feat for him.
For sure, man, for sure. And again, it's the LaughlinFoundation.org. Please,
The Laughlin Family Foundation.org. Yeah, we'll link that, like you said. It's and as I was just looking at it, donate as little as $5. Anything that you can. We're in the season of giving. As you're buying your presents for your family,
Yep.
come this weekend. Hey, think about a charity. Give it a little charitable donation there as well. Any charity would be lucky to get a few bucks from you. Oh, did I lose you, Greg? Because you're not moving, just sitting still. I don't know why Greg likes to play this game with me every week, where he wants to be the statue. I don't get it. He's way better at it than I am. If you're watching me, I'm never sitting still. So again, if we're not going to get Greg back, I want to thank Greg for his time and having me on. He is back. There he is. He's moving. He's moving again. Dang, you beat me in the statue game every single week. I'm never going to win it, I swear.
Sorry, guys. That's stupid internet, man. It's stupid. It's crazy. So anyway, guys, I'm sorry about that. But guys, we're out of here. The LaughlinFamilyFoundation.org. I just made my donation, man. Again, it's actually a really clean, really great website, man. And go donate, man. And awesome night, guys. Thank you for joining us. We're out of here.
How am I going to relax after that with that time with Greg Laughlin? Just a 10 out of 10. Absolutely,
for sure.
So,
all right, guys,
everybody, enjoy yourself some Thanksgiving and some pro and college football. Everybody eat a whole bunch. We'll see you next week.
Yeah, bye.